Hey, I'm Mike.
And I'm Leanne.
And this is Calls to the Quarantine. Today, our guests are Tommy and Veronica. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks so much.
Good to be here. Good to be here. Nice seeing some faces that aren't each other's.
Yeah, right.
Hear that?
Wow, way to start this off.
Not that she doesn't have a lovely, lovely face, but
the best face in the world.
Yeah, it's nice to look in the mirror and be like,
yeah,
I think I've seen this person before. Or look at your partner and be like, oh, hey. A little bit different.
Strange times.
It was definitely hard at first to like have the motivation to like actually do yourself, like wash your hair and get dressed and be a person.
So today might be the first time.
I agree. I agree.
One of 3 in the last month. I don't know.
Wow.
Got to be somewhere sometimes.
Well, I mean, you also have that touring musician background, so
yeah, right. It's 4 days, and I'm like, I'm done worse than this.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourselves?
I'm Tommy. I professional guitar player, depending on who you ask. I play guitar in Mushroomhead and VentanA and some other things I'm working on right now. While I'm home, I'm also a full-time bartender. I work for a bar called LBM. Some of my best friends run it. I consider it my bar, even though I am not in ownership. But that's my bar.
Nice. And where are you guys?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm Veronica. I am a published model, and I'm also a licensed color technician and full-time beautician. The beauty industry is literally my life. I love everything about it. It's been really rough during this time for it, but definitely staying connected with everybody in that industry just to make sure we're all getting along well with everything that's happening, make sure we're all going to get through this just all together and come back like really strong and ready to make everyone beautiful again.
We're definitely
gonna need that.
I'm really worried about all of these like
everyone
color corrections
please.
Like bang jobs that have been done on their own.
I cut my bangs the other day. I'm like, oh,
it looked great.
No, thanks.
It looked great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's not something I should do.
My hair because I think the new trend.
Yeah,
is
he just
really
gave
long
up.
Hair and long beard on men's. There's like a caveman coming out of this because no man's cutting his hair or anything.
Yeah.
I need a haircut so bad. I actually was correcting a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
I got one haircut to start changing it, and then this happened. So I have like 2 different hairstyles growing out right now, man.
Now's the time to have 2. Now's the time to have 2. Pick the one you like better.
Do 2 bad haircuts make a new great haircut?
Eventually.
That's what I keep trying to tell him.
Or just do a
go.
reverse mullet. Reverse mullet, I think, is your best option.
Actually, I've had just the hair in the front before. I'm a child of the 90s. I've had the
front flip.
You're damn right I had the coal chamber.
Yeah, absolutely. We're both children of new metal. I understand.
That's right. I might go back to it. That might be the first thing.
Might as well.
Dye it green and gel it so there's 3 pieces right in front of my face. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I approve green.
That's great. Well, it sounds like she's ready to go for this. Maybe this will get done tonight even.
You're up. Let's see what you do.
We might as well do it right now.
Do you guys live together?
We're quarantining together during all of this. I do have like my own home also, but it's only 10 minutes away.
Got it.
We're with each other every day though.
Yeah.
We've been dating now for quite a while. So at this point, we just decided for the sake of like our health and our safety, because we're already together quite a lot, let's just stick this out together. It's been quite the experience.
We did that too. We're like, this is gonna make or break us. Let's go.
Yeah.
Surprise, you live together now.
Yeah. So we had that conversation a little bit ago. I'm like, I'm gonna go back to my house, and he's just like, yeah, your house. And I'm like, yeah, my house. And he's like, we live together.
Yeah. So that exact thing happened to us. We're like, I guess you just live here now.
Yeah. And I'm like, I started bringing more and more stuff over. I'm just like, I have a lot of stuff. It's gonna take me more than 1 car ride to get it all back to my house.
Yeah.
Like, and that's
we'll see how long that owl painting lasts before he's like, oh, I have this signed Trent Reznor poster. It'd probably look good there.
Awesome.
That sounds way better. I can't see what you're talking about, but that already sounds better.
It's gonna look so sick over that owl.
That's great. So you weren't living together, now you are. And how would you rate both of your mental and or physical health before all of this?
Mine's usually about a 2 for both all the time.
Oh.
Typical touring musician.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
Can relate.
Completely functioning insane person.
Okay.
But I don't know, to answer that honestly, before this happened, it had been the start of the year had been pretty rough. Mental health had been in and out. I've struggled with depression and anxiety, as I think most people do and probably don't even know.
Yeah,
Couldn't
I
agree
agree.
more.
A lot of undiagnosed depression and anxiety out there. I have diagnosed it.
That's good for you, man.
So beginning of the year, I had some issues with health. Well, I'll just tell you, I had an infected left nut. That was complicated. That was exciting.
Oh, geez.
I'm very sorry to hear.
We spent my birthday in the ER.
Yep, we spent his entire
Oh man.
That was not the birthday threesome I was looking for.
It
No.
does not sound like
It
it.
didn't work out what I was talking about.
Okay.
I'm
Sounds
so
good,
sorry.
Hopefully next year.
And it wasn't serious or anything. It just hurt and
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah,
So
it is
that
scary.
passed, and the weather sucks in Cleveland in the winter, and
Yeah.
It gets so cold there. I hate touring through Cleveland in the
Yeah.
winter. I feel like I'm gonna freeze to death or skid off the road and die.
yeah.
What is
yeah,
it?
tell me
There's
about it.
seasonal affliction disorder. That's a
Yeah,
thing.
seasonal depression.
We had
Yeah.
a big conversation.
For real.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
big conversation about that. Like, especially being so close to the lake, getting all that like lake effect, like snow, and it just being absolutely freezing up here.
Mm-hmm.
It really, like, especially with like our schedules, we're so busy with everything that we do, and then having like that seasonal depression built on top of that, living up close like here in Cleveland. It was like a sit down conversation to be like, we know that we can get through this. A lot of people are experiencing this right now, because there were a lot of times where like we didn't want to do anything. We didn't want to like leave the house or like do anything. And we finally had a conversation like, this isn't us. Like, normally we'd like to go out, be around our friends and like see people, but for some reason we don't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even sometimes being around each other, we were like, we could use some space.
Mm-hmm.
And playing into a role of just like already carrying depression like on its own already. Like Tommy and I are huge advocates about talking about like our mental state of minds, especially with like our own individual followings with what we do. Him with being in the music industry, me with being in the modeling industry.
I had really good luck
you.
with Wellbutrin.
Awesome.
I weaned myself off a while ago, and I haven't been back on any of that stuff since.
Mm-hmm.
There's times
It's
where
hard.
I feel like I probably should, but it inhibits my writing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I call when I'm on it, I call it going on vacation.
When you're on the medication.
It's time. I'm going on vacation. Because it
Yeah.
takes everything up here and kind of brings it down, and everything down here and kind of brings it
Yep.
up.
Yeah, it
Everything
reduces
easier.
the spectrum.
Yep.
Like
Everything
your
is easier.
sadness isn't as crazy, but like your happy wildness also isn't
Uh-huh.
as crazy. Yeah.
And sometimes
when you're writing, that's like sometimes
Yeah.
need that.
Mm-hmm.
I try to write and I'm like, I don't know, this all just seems like whatever. Because
Yeah.
my whole demeanor is whatever. And sometimes
Yeah.
you need that. Where
Yep.
the disease is so brutal sometimes that I don't care what happens. I need this to calm down for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that completely, and super happy for people that are on them. Stay on it as long as you need. Do whatever you got to do, because it gets complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, I view it as a tool that, we have in our pockets for when we need it. It's not a full answer. You should still go to therapy. You should still, work on yourself and what's going on, but it is a great tool. When you need it, like,
it's nice to
use it.
have that.
Yeah.
And it does a lot of good for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So your experience with the quarantine, at what point did you realize this was going to be a big thing?
We just talked about that actually on a walk yesterday.
Let's hear it.
Well, I remember the specific moment where I went, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was at the bar and we were getting ready to open, and most of the dudes I work with are a little bit younger than me. I'm 38. Some of them are in their early 30s. One dude's like 25. and it was the younger guy and another guy, and we're talking about it, and they're talking about we're all fucked, it's going to be closed, what are we going to do when we're closed? I'm laughing at them. I'm like, you guys are nuts. I've been through all this. I've been through SARS, I've been, swine flu, mad cow disease, Y2K. Like, yeah. Everything's going to close. Everyone's going to have to hide in their house for months. Yeah, you guys are nuts.
Y2K, what's the scary one? Y2K. Flames in the wild sky.
My mom made my whole family sleep in the basement. Y2K. Like that was going to save us. I don't know.
Airplanes falling down, basement, you're safe.
And then I went to the bathroom and I was flipping through my phone and I saw that the NBA had canceled all their games. It's like, wow.
And that was a big one.
Right. And then 2 minutes later, baseball was canceled and hockey was canceled and Live Nation canceled all their shows and so did AEG. Like in an hour.
Yeah.
When, oh, you guys are right. This is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At what point did the bar your bar close?
March
second week of March.
14th. Yeah. Because I remember we all got together the next day and filed for unemployment together. So it was March 14th we closed.
Wow.
Is that St. Patrick's Day or?
It's the day after.
Yeah.
Day after. At least you got St. Patrick's Day in. So.
We're a cocktail bar, so we take holidays like that off.
Yeah. You don't want St. Patrick's Day. Keep them out of here.
I've worked at a lot of places where I made a lot of money on St. Patrick's Day just slinging beers, but we only hold hardly 50 people. Everything's pretty high-end and complex. No one wants a St. Patrick's Day at our bar, we don't want them to.
Yeah. It's like in New York, we have this thing, SantaCon, where everyone dresses up as Santa Claus.
It's my nightmare.
Not Halloween, on Christmas, and like a lot of bars, if you're wearing any red or wearing like a Santa hat, you can't come in here. We don't want you. We don't want you in here because we know you're just gonna be obnoxious and fight each other.
Yeah.
You can tell you're wasted,
and they're not wrong. They're honestly not wrong.
Oh, drinking holidays.
And what about in the beauty industry? How was that transition?
We closed about a week after the bars and restaurants started to close. I was actually at work. We all walked in with this like heavy like feeling. We were like, today's our day. Like we know it. Like today's gonna be the day they tell us we're gonna close. So we had the press conference going, and I had it playing on my phone. And I remember all the girls that weren't working on clients were sitting in the front reception. I had it up all the way, and the second our governor ended up saying, and by the end of business hours today, all barbershops, tattoo parlors, and salons are to be closed. Everyone kind of looked at each other like we didn't expect that to happen. Like we all knew, we had this gut feeling, but like we just couldn't believe it. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, this is real. Now I'm affected. Not only was my boyfriend's job just affected like the week prior, and like loads of my friends, now it's my turn. Now I'm a strong workaholic. Like I said, like the beauty industry is literally my life. Anyone that knows me knows that I don't really give myself a lot of like self-care time, a lot of things for myself, but it's because I'm thriving in my career. So to now have all of that taken and put aside without even like the knowledge of knowing when I'm gonna get to start again, all of us ladies kind of like felt that feeling all at once. And I love working at a salon, but when you have a small building filled with so many women, at that point, I felt like the roof was gonna collapse. I felt like the building was gonna blow up. Like everyone was like, what do you mean? And then the clients that were there at the time were like, all they could say was, well, thank God I got in today. I was like, yeah, no, I have to spend the rest of like my day on my free time calling every single client into April, every single one, like hundreds of clients, to tell them, hey, I'm sure you heard the news, even though it just came on 30 minutes ago, but we're going to be closed now. It's our turn. And a lot of people were pretty supportive. We did have those few that were like, so you can't get me in today.
there's always a few who are gonna be angry, blame you, you know.
Yeah.
So
Like I felt like I had gained the skill of rolling my eyeballs into the back of my head that day. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like that's your big thing right now. I'm trying to tell you that us and everyone here that loves taking care of you guys are now like losing their jobs for the time being. Mm-hmm. And all you have to say is, you can't get me in today. I remember coming home after work that day, and I was probably like a little aggressive and upset, but I told Tommy, I'm like, I need to chill. I need a drink. I need something right now. But all I know is I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I've had my fair share of people for the day. So, because this is rough. Everyone's affected by this. Whether your job's essential or not, everyone's being affected by this somehow.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Show a little passion.
I definitely, I mean, one thing that stood out to me is that, you know, you're saying you're a workaholic and you didn't have time for self-care. Since the quarantine, have you like put yourself as a higher priority and done more self-care things and focused on that?
I talked about it a little bit, but for the first 2 weeks of this quarantine, I literally felt like I was gonna just shrivel up into a raisin. Mm-hmm. I barely left the couch. Tommy actually like helped me in a sense kind of get that realization that like, hey, like this is your time now, like think about this time, do something with it. So going for walks more, starting to really like have this self like realization that like, hey, now that you have this time, figure out like what makes you happy again. Figure out like other than work, what do you like what makes you you. Like I said, it took 2 weeks for me to finally get that like realization, but now I'm at the point now where I'm like, I am doing more things for myself that make me happy, getting back into a few things. But there were quite a few tough conversations we had to have, but in my benefit. Mm-hmm. That's my big thing. Like, give me that tough love, because I know at the end of the day, it's because you care. It's not because you want to point out what could be faults. It's because this is a stressful time for everyone, and we all need to figure this out on our own, like all together.
Absolutely. And you know, it sounds like you guys are pretty open and comfortable talking about mental health, and it seems to me that you've had to like develop that level of trust to know that you're never trying to hurt each other and only trying to help. And I am loving talking to you, because when Mike and I started talking about this podcast, we're like, even if one person like hears a story that resonates with them or they can relate to and it can help them, that's great. And like, you are my person. Everything that you like, pretty much to a T what I experienced, even like down to like Mike made me go on walks with him every day.
Yeah, like you guys are saying things and I'm like, wow, I'm like, we do the same exact things. Yeah. Like you were like talking about laying on the couch. I'm like,
I couldn't. There'd be times I'd get up from the couch and literally be like, oh, my ass prints like just embedded in this thing at this point.
Yeah, I think I like convinced myself I contracted the virus, but I think my body was just aching from not moving at all.
I had a problem like that at one point. I was like, oh God, my body like hurts right now. I really hope I'm not sick. Like we actually were like, we're gonna watch this and like just make sure for a few days. And then all of a sudden we went for a walk and I'm like, I feel better. And he's like, he got you off the couch. You're moving again. And I'm like,
that was
this is what it's like to have legs.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
I handled it completely the opposite. Mm-hmm. I got to work in the studio and I never stopped. I don't know how many days we've been in quarantine, 40. I've taken a day off. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I remember one specifically, and we both looked at each other like, well, that was nice. we know what's going to go right back to tomorrow. But
and I don't work all day. I call it work, but I'm sitting right there.
Yeah. Working.
It's working.
Like you're working.
You're a professional musician, man. That's working.
Yeah.
That is true. That is correct. Keep telling my mom that. I am working.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's 3 or 4 hours, sometimes it's 12. I don't know if it strikes me. And having depression and stuff, the big swings when I'm working, if I have a great day writing and I feel really strong about material or a mix or whatever I'm doing, changes my mood as far as if I have a day where I like kind of struggle and I'm in a slump, I don't like what I did, and I've spent 3-4 hours on something, and at the end of it, I hate it. That'll crush me pretty much for the day.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Or even for a couple days until I feel like I've had retribution and I do something else. I go, oh yeah, that's kick-ass. Well, I don't know, but I'll be miserable for a couple days.
Yeah.
And I think the depression has a lot to do with it, and anxiety of feeling like I need to, I need to produce. If I feel like I'm not, I'll spiral even more into not producing because I'm so anxious about it.
Yeah.
I'm even, sometimes it gets so bad, I'm even afraid to try. It's like,
I get that.
If I get in there and upset myself, if I do it too many times in a row, I'm just going to stop. And sometimes I have to make myself stop and wait a couple days and start over, or I'm just doing more harm than good. And if I'm riding the wave and every day everything's it's awesome, keep going, and I kind of work myself into the ground and beat myself up that way too. But it feels a lot better when it goes that way.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It sounds like you have at least, a solid understanding and awareness of what's going on with you, and have put things into place to
I've been
mitigate
crazy my whole life.
Yeah, this ain't new.
I'm getting pretty used to how to treat myself.
Yeah, I definitely understand your need to work like at all times, even everything going on. So like, create anything in any way that you possibly can.
Yeah.
Try to look at
that's where this podcast came from.
Right, exactly. And as you guys probably do too, try to look at this time as a gift rather than a curse. I'm being forced to not do the things I usually do. If I had $1 jillion or all the time in the world, what would I do?
Exactly.
And that's kind of what I had to say to her after a couple of weeks of the couch. I was like, babe, like, if you had all the time in the world, is this what you really want to do?
Yeah. It's like without any sort of like societal pressure or people around you like holding you accountable, and you're just left to yourself, you do kind of feel like, who am I and what do I do? And you kind of go through like all of the motions that you described of like, I don't even know. I don't know what I do.
Right. And if you are go, you will, maybe you may retreat for a little bit. Your body and your brain needed it. You know what I'm doing? Nothing.
Yeah. That was me for these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You did need it. You were crazy.
It's like we've been together since August of last year, and pretty much from what I can remember, other than when he's on tour, I'm with him every day. We're with each other every day, but it's only for a very, very tiny period of time, because also with my job, I'm like an all-day worker. He's a night worker.
So we get what you mean.
Yeah.
So when we do see each other, we either have to like pair up our days where we have the days off, which is rarely ever. I can maybe think of on one hand since August days we both had off on the same days. And then other than that, when he's coming home from work at like 3 a.m, I purposefully sleep on the couch. I never go to bed without him because I want him to come and wake me up and be like, hey, I'm home. Well, now let's go to bed together.
Which I keep telling you to not do.
I know, which he tells me to not do.
Go to bed.
But I do it because we get such like little time sometimes to see each other, like with our
So
really busy schedules.
Yeah.
That like, if it's like one small thing I can do. Boy, I stayed up all night at the hospital for you on your birthday with your broken nut. And then I had to do it in the morning.
Which I also told you not to do.
Yeah, which he also told me not to do. But that's like, that in my mind, that's like the little amount of time we have together is like, if I can lose just a little bit of sleep, just to be able to see him a bit until we have like time where we can spend together, wicked, that's worth it in my mind. But
I think she should go to bed.
he always thinks I should go to bed though. because when all this quarantine happened, I think the majority of what I did for 2 weeks was sleep. And I would wake up and be like, wow, did I need that? I can't believe I'm even sleeping this much. And he's like, think about how little you sleep before all this happened. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense at this point. That was a lot of catch up.
So now, did you also file for unemployment?
Yeah. So he filed with his job. They all got together and they filed together. When it was my turn, I actually have a second job in the beauty industry. It's a part-time thing, but it's a professional beauty supply company. We basically carry all the products that supply salons, barbershops, spas, and everything like that. So I still technically worked there when my salon closed, but we were only open for a few more days after that. But I told myself I wanted to wait until both of my jobs closed, because if salons were closing, this place was going to close at some point too. Mm-hmm. It didn't take long before it did. Right. When we did file for unemployment, he helped me at that point, and it was for the first, I think it was like 2-3 weeks before we finally got everything under control, which I get, like everyone's filing right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it was rough, but it was difficult because we weren't getting any type of actual helpful correspondence back to what was happening. Just be patient, we're fixing it. And we're both such easygoing people and understanding people that we're like, we took that. We're just like, yeah, let's be understanding. Like the government's under some stress right now. So let's give them some time and we'll figure it out. But yeah, we're both on full unemployment at this point.
And you guys both got the stimulus checks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Those are pretty
We both
nice.
got that. We were very good.
I like that. That was cool.
Yeah, it was something. Good though. Yeah, we've heard stories of people like trying to apply for unemployment and
they're still getting nothing, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I was just talking to him today about how I was seeing online about some problems with people who are married to like immigrants and stuff not getting their stimulus and not getting any of that unemployment. And that affects me personally because my stepmother is from El Salvador. She just became a U.S. citizen last year, but
Congratulations.
It's awesome. I'm so happy for her, and like I know it's great for like my younger siblings and stuff. But the problem is, I keep seeing she hasn't gotten anything yet because from unemployment, not her stimulus, like nothing.
Yes,
and it's like disheartening to me to see all of these people, like people I know, not even because of that factor, but even just in general, like struggling to be able to figure out even just mentally why they're not getting this,
right?
Or where the complications are coming from. And it's hard to like really have anything to say coming from people who have like gotten it. I mean, we all want answers as to why this is happening. We all want answers as to when this is going to end. Like, why is unemployment taking so long? Why are people not getting like stimulus checks? Like, where does all of that come from? Because everyone's suffering right now. Like we keep saying, everyone deserves this. Like everyone needs this right now. You told us we can't go to our jobs, not off of our own free will, but for the safety of everyone during this time. Now, please help us so we can get through this too.
Yeah, despite the federal government's handling of the situation, how have you felt with I don't know anything about Ohio's governor and how it's been handled for your state?
Mike DeWine's has actually been heralded as one of the best governors dealing with this, which is amazing because Ohio never does anything right.
No.
I knew there was a reason I loved Ohio so much.
I remember when we first dating, he was like, I was thinking about moving to Ohio.
Yeah,
I do love Cleveland. The city's really grown up in the last 15, 20 years. Food and beverage scene's amazing. They're trying really hard because Cleveland had it rough for a lot of years, but it's really starting to grow up and be in the running with the other major cities.
Yeah, that's
every
great.
time I'm there, it seems like it's a little bit different, a little bit better. Like the Agora reopening.
Yeah.
Beautiful
It's like,
venue.
Call it baby Chicago. It's like Chicago, except for only 300,000 people, and you can buy a house for $85,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go there because it's cheap.
Yeah.
I love to hear that you're feeling good about that. There's something so like comforting, feeling like the leaders in charge are handling it in a way that everyone feels good, feels informed, you know, taking
he
things
jumped on quarantine right away, shut a lot of things down right away, where
Mhm.
a lot of other governors were waiting to see what happens, and it turned out he was right.
Yeah,
he could have looked real foolish too, but he did the right thing, and handling
it's
it.
hard. Absolutely.
And some states are already opening back up, you know.
Yeah, it's scary.
Crazy
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's tough.
Time's gonna tell.
We'll find out real quick.
Only time will tell.
Certainly.
Yeah.
When quarantine part 2 comes around in a week from now, we'll know
I think
why.
just the sad part of it all would be if like these steps are made and then they have to backtrack,
absolutely,
put people through this whole thing all over again because they might have made some mistakes when it comes to reopening.
Yeah, because if a couple people screwed up, it could set the whole thing back off again.
Yeah, that's why I think the one is like done everything that he possibly can. Like Tommy said, like he's being heroed right now, and I'm even sitting here like, this is amazing. Like everything that he's done, like everything he's doing. When he does his press conferences, he makes it so like emotionally known how he cares about the people. He even brought his wife on one time just to talk about like things that she's doing at home with their grandchildren, like just to get through this, like spend time together. And I'm like, that's so heartwarming because people need to see that this is a difficult time for everyone, but this is a time where we can all take something positive from it at the same time. We just have to dig inwards and try to find that positive to take from this.
Yeah, I gotta say, I am seeing that common thread everywhere. Like every single person I'm talking to is kind of like, you know, the first stage was, oh my God, what is happening? And then it's turning inward. I think you hit the nail on the head with that.
I think you guys are the first couple we've talked to on here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I really hope we all emerge as like these kind, compassionate, warm, respectful beings. Right. That would be amazing.
I hope so. At very least, some people will turn over a new leaf, I think.
Yeah.
I'm also afraid, I hate to say it, I'm afraid of the backlash of people being less patient and colder as soon as it lifts because they've been trapped in how dare you do this to my life.
They're coming
I hope not. I hope everyone, like I said, I've been considering this time of gifts and really getting stuff I want to get done. And
that's awesome.
Every day I get up and I think about what am I going to do today?
Yep. No, that is literally the first thing he does. Yep.
I might pace for 45 minutes with a cup of coffee before I do any of it. But
I also pace all the time. She got me a Fitbit, and I had no idea how much I paced. Apparently, it's over 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
I'm just pacing.
Right.
Is there anything musically that you've had to like put on pause? Any projects, any releases, anything that you're unsure of what you're gonna do now?
We were. There was 12 scheduled dates in Europe. It was the first 12 days of July. I don't think that's officially canceled, but it's officially canceled. At Artists, we always do a October tour, the fabled Mushroomhead Halloween tour. That's already not happening, as far as I know, unless something major happens.
Right.
It sounds like there's going to be no live shows until 2021. I just saw fall 2021.
That's scary too. My manager saying, he's like, oh, it's like come like June, everyone's gonna be good again. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'd heard that too. I heard some like inside intel that venues are gonna start opening back up in June, and then a week later I heard October 2021.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning more towards that too. And it's
that makes the most sense. Until there's a vaccine, you can't.
Yeah,
you can't change it. I don't think I'm no doctor or scientist or anything, but
I'm not either. But it seems like a great guess.
He played guitar loud. That's me.
My guitar has 4 strings on it, so I'm not as smart as you are.
I don't really know, but I hope it's sooner than later, because not only is that how a lot of us make money, especially the people that work at the venues, the booking agents, the promoters,
the crews for the bands,
bartenders, everything. Musicians, all the way down. That's a huge economy.
Very big.
So short of that, also performing live helps deal with depression and anxiety. We live in a bus with 14 people. Sometimes it causes a lot of it, but also the exertion of positive energy. I don't want to just say that. The release of negative energy in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's always like, "Why is your music so scary? Why is everyone always screaming?" It's like it's a release of negative energy in a positive way.
I love that.
And by the end of it, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been able to let something go.
Yeah.
Not being able to do that is hard.
A lot of people don't get that about heavy music. They're like, it's just loud and angry, and like you hate the world. Meanwhile, something.
This is how I give that away without killing all you.
Yeah, exactly. This is how you let all that out without that out.
Don't make me stop doing this.
This is healthy. This is what healthy looks like.
Right. Exactly.
That's awesome.
So hopefully that comes back soon. But and like I keep saying to her, this will also be a time of innovation where there's a lot of really smart, interesting people that do this for a living that now have to come up with something else or different way to present it.
Yep.
And hopefully people much more talented and smarter than me come up with a really cool way. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. We play guitar loud. Hopefully someone really innovates a way, like Code Orange. Their CD release. It was the first day of the quarantine.
Yeah.
And what do? They cancel that one. The next day they play an empty venue. 13,000 people watched that.
Yeah,
13,000. Yeah. So hopefully we see more of that. That's the only thing I can.
And their album sold really well too. So it's like
awesome.
And they only had to play one show. It's like damn.
Right.
You didn't have to do a full 35-day long tour to support your album. You have to play one show now, and you can sell.
Play one show, one really good show in front of
0 people.
I like it. Let's do that.
I haven't heard any performers talking about this yet, but Facebook did just roll out an event where you have to pay to get to it that performers can have.
I saw the headline. I didn't look at it too hard today.
I felt like that had to be coming. Like there's no way that we're gonna get all this content for free forever.
Right.
It makes sense. Like
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's I know. I've been thinking a little bit like it would be really cool if, one of my favorite artists was like, it's $50 for a 50-person Zoom session where you can ask me questions. Like, totally. Yeah, I'll do that. That sounds, I get to talk to you. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I think things like that are going to have to start rolling out because you have to.
A lot of bands do stuff like the VIP meetings and stuff, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
With album sales pretty much being none.
Yeah.
More innovation of how else to come up with that, and if you're not going anywhere, if I could talk to Trent Reznor for 20 minutes for $100, you're goddamn right I'm doing it.
I'm
gonna take my camera, turn it over, and be like, okay, this is how everything ran. What what should I move?
Trent Reznor, if you're listening, do this now.
Right,
come out of that a millionaire.
Right. How much do you want? I'll figure it out. I got a credit card.
He'll innovate for you. Here's what you gotta do. You're set.
Right. And a lot of people are teaching lessons online and stuff like that, and that's been going on. But now that you kind of have to, people are pushing it a little bit harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you two, what do you think the biggest piece of your life is going to change once this is all over? What do you see as permanent changes or things that just maybe can't go back to normal? Or what are you afraid of?
my biggest fear is this just happening again in 2 months or 6 months or next year. Like, are we just going to lose the spring every year for the rest of our lives? I don't know. That freaks me out.
Second wave, third wave.
Right, and being
if people keep coming out, they can just keep coming back. They never come up with a vaccine,
All right, both of my businesses are assuming people come to that thing and spend their money.
Right.
So that's scary, and I was just talking about finding innovative ways to maybe, if things stay like this, that they don't have to actually come there. Because the other thing the governor, they lifted the ban on to-go alcohol.
Okay, that's good.
So we're open, but you can't come in. So we've been doing takeout, and he's allowed bars to do takeout spirits.
Really? Like,
yeah.
Can you get like an actual cocktail or?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's probably like fun ways of delivering that.
Yeah,
like,
we a lot of our distributors keep donating stuff that they buy us containers. So we've had 10 different kinds because they just send them to us. So it's been pretty fun.
This reminds me of, I think it was like, I want to say Betty Crocker, but I might be wrong. But when a lot of women stayed home and baked and they started introducing these like ready-made things, they were not popular because the women kind of felt like they weren't doing anything and they didn't like it. So they arbitrarily took the box and added instructions that said, add an egg, mix it, and then bake it. And it just like boomed and took off.
Wow.
Because they're like, I made this kind of.
I made it, right. I did something.
So there's got to be something like that with cocktails where like you give all of the ingredients, but kind of make the person feel like they're making it at home.
Before we were allowed to sell it with the alcohol in it, that was the first thing we did, because we do high-end craft cocktails. So we came up with 4 or 5 different mixers that are specific cocktails. And then you could buy just the mix, and we had instructions on it where you take this home, this will make 12 gunslingers, purchase the bourbon we suggest.
Yeah,
this much
fun.
This much spirit.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
We're still doing that, and they sell.
Yeah,
they sell pretty hard.
Yeah, people like
cool
that. And you like post on your Instagram, look what I made.
Yeah. Actually, that's funny you mentioned that, because that was the first. We started before we even knew we were going to have to close. We started talking about that. What are we going to do when it's slow? And it's like, well, we should do that, and we should do that either way.
Right. Yeah.
And it's going really well. So
I wonder if that's gonna be a thing that we can keep.
Yeah.
Can we please just keep ordering alcohol from our home?
That'd be cool. Sometimes we don't feel like going out, but you want a nice cocktail.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to make it yourself.
A lot of liquor laws are post-prohibition, like in that decade, like from 36, 37 to 1945. Their liquor laws are still those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's really convoluted and weird and based on the church a lot of the time. And it's so it's all starting to get updated a little bit, but you like really need them to want to go in and change it. So at this moment, hopefully stuff like this stays and it's a little more lax. And I understand people don't want to get hurt. You don't want drunk drivers and stuff. But hey, if you can take this home, maybe you'll drink the last couple at home and not get shithoused here.
Yeah.
That's maybe. So true.
Or maybe you'll drink it on the way home and kill some kids. I don't know.
And how about for you? How about for you, Veronica? What do you see as like the biggest piece of your life that's changing, or anything that you're afraid of?
It's definitely, the biggest piece is definitely like my self-realization of self-care at this point.
I love that. I'm so happy for you.
No, that's hands down been it. I've already told Tommy, when this is over, I need to communicate with my jobs more about at least give me a day off a week. 1 day off a week, please. Like any little amount of time, like, because I have now realized how much self-care I can fit in for myself in just 1 day.
Yep. And
how much like that affects me. And I personally think like though one of like the biggest fears coming from all this is a lot of what Tommy said is the possibility of a wave of this happening again. I mean, loads of people that have like immune system like diseases and people that like aren't healthy, aren't well, and they've been my biggest concern during all of this. And at this point, humanity needs to like take it upon itself to be like, we are all like a unit together in this. We all need to be respectfully treating everyone like their family, and that like what I'm doing could impact them. And that's just like my biggest fear, is that people won't see it that way. People will take it as a, well, this is taking away my rights. This isn't fair. I want to go back to my regular life. We all want to go back to our regular lives. I mean, he doesn't like seeing me every day. I probably don't like seeing him every day. Like, we miss our jobs, we miss our friends, we miss our families. Like, we all want to get back to like what is considered our normals. And the longer people choose to not think that way, the longer that's going to take that away from everybody. So that's like my biggest fear, is I want everyone to be safe and happy and healthy, get through this all together and come out of this stronger. But yeah, just taking self-care from this, but also keeping in mind like there's possibility this could happen again, and just mentally being prepared for that to possibly be a thing. So there's a lot to take from this experience for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Do you have any final words or anything that you'd like to plug before we sign off?
Going on? You want to promote a little bit?
New Mushroomhead singles out right now.
Kicks ass.
You can watch the video on YouTube. It's called Seen It All. Really proud of my good buddy and best friend Steve, who stepped up and became the new singer. We've been making albums together for 20 years. He's like one of the craziest, most talented dudes I know. And, I got to do my thing, but Steve really killed it. So go check him out, do that thing, because, man, it's about time.
Yeah. And, like he said, I love Steve. Like, Steve is great. Like, Steve deserves all of that. Another amazing like musician.
Right now.
Like seeing the way those two like interact with each other and work together. Like, I swear sometimes he's dating Steve from how much he talks about him and like how like much they admire each other.
That's great.
But other than that, I guess the only really thing I have to say is just that I hope everybody stays safe and healthy. Hopefully everybody takes something positive from this, or finds a positive way to outlet any stresses they may be feeling. Because to me, this feels like an all year long seasonal depression at this point. You have to stay inside. They make it sound like it's not safe to be outside. So in a sense, it is like another form of seasonal depression to me. And it's difficult to have a lot of like restrictions put on that at the same time. So hopefully people find positive outlets to help them with this whole transition, and stay healthy, take something positive from this, and just take care of one another.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys.
So much. You guys are so awesome to have on.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Everyone, make sure you go check out their stuff. Great people. We're Call Us the Quarantine. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Call Us the Quarantine. SoundCloud. Rap. Coming out.
We'll probably start rapping soon.
We'll probably start rapping eventually, because
yeah.
What do you do after making a podcast? You start rapping. You got beats.
Really?
Dude, we're set.
Wow.
We're all ready to go.
I like rapping.
All right, once again, thank you guys so much. This has been absolutely awesome.
Bye.
We'll see you later.